What about, I've heard there were hits put out on prison officers. Does that happen?
Okay, again, if you go back to when I started in the prison service, there is a disgusting practice called potting, where prisoners would collect urine and feces and throw it all prison officers. Now, it used to be that you could maybe spot who that was going to happen to. So there was a lad, I had a period of time where I was suspended from work in the private sector. And when I come back, first day I met this lad, beyond obnoxious, horrible, the way he talked to people. And I was talking about him to somebody else. And I said, he'll end up getting potted him. He was just beyond nasty, do you know what I mean? And he did, he got potted. Again, it's disgusting, but you could sometimes see who that might happen to. That changed for me. Same with prison officers. If someone's a bad bully, constantly at it, then they might well get threats. They might get threats on the outside, something like that. That sort of thing. I think now, if you were a really good prison officer, there's a chance that pressure might be put on you, maybe. If you were doing your job really well, as opposed to being a bad bully or somebody who wasn't doing the job, you could come under threat. Now, it happens rarely. However, I can't even imagine. Me, I always spoke and treated people, like my nan used to say, I want who spoke to and treat this in, or treated yourself. And that worked really well. You know, you got respect off people. I can't imagine having my family threatened when I was in that job. You know, if I don't know, some security admin and said, look, there's a threat to your family, threat to that address, that's terrifying. But it did happen to people. You know, these people who had bells put in direct to the police, that sort of thing. There's prison officers who, you know, it was announced to pretty much everyone where they lived and that, maybe because somebody got a beef with them. There are some people, a small majority in prison, who have the capability, the contacts and that to make life very difficult for people. On the whole, it doesn't happen. But, you know, it is a scary thought, that, for me.
Is that something, were you saying that even if a prison officer does a good job nowadays, is it getting worse?
Yeah, I think it's got worse now.
Why is that?
So if you go pre-COVID, so most prisons had a regime, yeah? You had enough staff to run a regime. Round about 2012, the prison service brought in what they call workforce modernisation and benchmarking. In engineering, we had systems like that. So they'd look at me doing a job. If I was required to produce 60 items an hour, yeah, and I produced 70, I'd get a bonus. But then somebody would come along and say, well, if you can do 70 easily, that's the new target. So in order to get a bonus. But what it meant in the prison service was reducing staff. That's what they did. They didn't actually make anyone redundant because every prison was running short. So it started in 2012 with prisons like Hull, and over 3 years, it worked its way through the system. People would come into your prison doing this benchmarking sort of thing, and you'd end up requiring fewer staff to do the job. So Strangeways, March the 1st, 2015. If we go to February 28th, we were approximately 80 staff short. Yeah. No change in staff, nobody made redundant, nobody employed. March the 1st, 24 hours later, it was alleged we had 16 staff too many. So they'd done away with that. Now, being in prison is not like any other job. If you're in a supermarket, yeah, Wednesday afternoon in summer, you know, one on the butchers, one on pizza, one on clothing, that's fine. When it comes to Christmas, you bring staff in, don't you? Yeah. You have the tills manned and everything else, yeah? Prison is not like a supermarket. If it kicks off, you need more staff. Not at Christmas, not any other time. You need them there. And people deemed that those staff weren't necessary. So there was less people responding to incidents. So if I'm somewhere else doing a job, yeah, and then I'm required back on my wing to serve meals, but there's an incident there, I'm not coming back to my wing. So my wing's short. And it was an absolute car crash from day one. The regime, it just went to pot. They were what you call an Oscar 1, yeah? In uniform, that's principal officer, senior officer, 1 pip on a wing in uniform. He's a manager. The principal officer, 2 pips. They might be overall manager of an area, but they also do the Oscar 1 job and Oscar 2. So that's shift manager. You have a duty governor in a suit. They manage the prison. Any incidents that Oscar 1 would manage. So Strangeways, Oscar 1 in the morning, and this was common, 30 staff short. That start at shift, 30 staff short. Where do you start? You start locking wings down. Yeah. Now, if you're expecting to be out 2 hours and exercise, nobody's come, nobody's unlocked you, then frustrations boil over. And it just became more and more violent.